Welcome to the Great on Purpose podcast. My name is Alfonzo Alexander and I am your host. In each episode of this podcast, you will have the opportunity to get to meet leaders from various backgrounds, various industries who are really just cool people doing great things on purpose. They are pursuing their purpose and pursuing greatness and walking in lockstep as they do it. You'll understand what we mean more about that as you get into the podcast. Our goal here is to help you understand that being great is not just something that happens. It is something that has to be done on purpose and in alignment with your purpose. Therefore, this is the Great on Purpose podcast. Enjoy.
Today's episode, Comfortable Being Uncomfortable, features Alfonzo Alexander's conversation with Jennifer Bouchard. Jennifer is a trailblazer that thrives in ambiguity, change, and a lightning-fast environment. She is passionate about building high-performance teams and creating highly inclusive environments. She has success and finds joy in driving impact by creating connections between stories, people, and companies through digital and experiential strategies that drive key business objectives. Take a listen.
Hello, this is Alfonzo Alexander, and I want to say to you, welcome to the Great on Purpose podcast. Today, we are going to talk with someone who is a great example, a tremendous example of being great on purpose. I've known this young lady for quite some time, and she has just continued to express success and continue to grow on this journey toward greatness. As you know, we talk about being intentional and purposeful and connected to your purpose as you pursue greatness. And I am so pleased to introduce you guys today to the one and only Jennifer Bouchard. Jennifer, say hello to everybody.
Hi, everybody. Happy Thursday. It's Thursday today, right?
It's hard to keep up with that when you're traveling all over the world and you may be a day ahead of us. It's Thursday somewhere, right?
I think so.
I am so glad that you were able to join us today, Jennifer.
Me too.
And I am looking forward to this conversation and hoping that we can have some fun and inspire some people along the way. Why don't you kick us off by just sharing a little bit about your background? Maybe give us a brief history of your career.
I would say that my career started probably in high school. So I worked really closely with children with autism and with Down syndrome, and did a lot of behavioral analysis work and hands-on teaching. And that really led me into the nonprofit sector and space of my volunteerism, as well as working with others. And that continued through college. I worked with the president of the university. I worked on some nonprofit campaigns with St. Jude. And I continued that. My first, I would say, big internship was with the International Foundation for AIDS Research in New York, AMFAR. People might be familiar with them. They do the AIDS Day Gala, they do the Pride Parades. And so that, I think, was probably my first real job. And that led me into NASBA, which is where you and I met. So the Center for Public Trust, where we established the corporate social responsibility arm. And I think that the job with NASBA really helped me understand my desire to build things and my love of building things, which is actually connected to having two grandfathers that were engineers. And then I took a chance and took a job at Facebook, which was in their public policy and communications department, which was kind of similar to what I had been doing throughout my career. And I've just taken a couple of chances along the way within the company, moving from community operations to recruiting operations, and then now running global recruitment marketing, which is really focused on building our brand, creating and encouraging people to apply for careers at Facebook, helping diversify our talent pool, helping to create new pathways for people to enter the company and explore careers with us.
Excellent, excellent. So let me make sure I understand that you're leading global recruitment marketing for all of Facebook.
Yes.
Yeah. About how many people typically does Facebook employ?
I haven't seen the latest number, but I believe we've passed the 55,000 mark, and that's globally. So most continents at this point in time, and just continuing to grow as well. So
that's awesome. That's awesome to know that you played a part in helping to attract 55,000 or some portion of 55,000 people to one organization. That's amazing. Personally,
we were 1,300 people, I think, when I started. So
wow.
And I'm just a small part of that success. That I think everyone really identifies attracting talent as their job at the company as well, which is actually a really exciting mantra and place to be when everyone feels invested in the work that you're doing too.
Sure. And you I'm sure lead a team of people with your role being global. How many people do you lead right now?
So I would say my team is around 30 folks. Yeah.
That's awesome. So, whether it's personal or work related, what's the most exciting thing you got going on in life right now?
Well, I think you said it earlier, but I am currently on a bit of holiday, and I am resting on the coast of Croatia. I'm in northern Croatia, taking some time to myself and just trying to chase the last bits of summer here before fall and winter really creep up on me in New York, which is not my favorite time of year.
I get it. That's awesome. I hope you enjoy the rest of your vacation over there in beautiful Croatia. You alluded to it a little bit. Where we met was NASBA, but let's give everybody a little context from your perspective of our relationship and how we know each other.
I mean, you were my first boss, I would say. I mean, in beginning my corporate career, I think that was for a year and a half, 2 years or so. And I tell this really funny story. I told this to you, I think, the other week, and you didn't exactly remember it, but it was my first or second week on the job, and I had a low tire and it had become flat, and I was trying to get a new tire. And when I went to Bridgestone, they told me it was like $300 for the tire. And I came in and I apologized that I was late. And you were like, on our lunch break, we're going down there. We're going to get you a better deal. We'll get you the right tire. And I think that was probably the beginning of our friendship or our mentorship relationship as well. And I think from there, I've just grown to know your entire family along the way and have relationships with them too. But the Alexander clan is great.
All the crazies. Now you know all the crazies now. That's awesome. Well, that's good. And that had to be what, 12 years ago or 14 years ago, maybe? Quite a while.
I feel like given this pandemic, I don't exactly remember how old I am or really exactly what day at a time. Feels like it's just a concept, really. I would say 2008, 2007, 2008.
Probably in there.
Yeah, I think that's right. So that is about 14, 15 years.
Oh, wow.
Right?
Sounds fun.
Right?
I'm not going to tell your age, but I do know that
I just had a birthday too, so don't give me away.
Well, that's what I'm saying. You don't remember how old you are, but you did just have a birthday recently. So just maybe that'll help give you a clue. But let's talk about leadership. You're leading an organization of 30 people right now. You've done other things that you've been involved in where you express leadership, even in your friendly relationships with friends and colleagues. Tell me, what you would attribute your growth as a leader to, some of the things.
Yeah. I'm really comfortable being uncomfortable. And I think that has driven me in the sense that I really want to learn or grow, be outside of myself to understand concepts, people, experiences that help me appreciate the world or the work in a really different way. I'm not afraid of hard work either. I think that has really been one of the things too for me, that if I don't know how to do it, again, this is the get uncomfortable, then I'll go figure it out, but I'm still going to do it. Sure. I also think that, things that are complex or things that necessarily people don't want to do, I'm okay to do as well. I really enjoy the work. And I have a personal motto that I think I bring to work. And my personal motto is that love will be my legacy. Okay. And when I think about how that translates into work, that's really about ensuring that I uplift others, encourage others, that I empathize with others, and ensure that I'm using my seat at the table for good, or to bring others to that table, or to encourage them into new spaces, right? To be an advocate, a sponsor, a supporter, in that way too. And I think those three things have really been cornerstones for me as I've made career decisions or thought about being a leader as well. Yeah,
awesome. I really love a couple of things that you said, a lot of things, everything you said, but a couple of things really ring true for me as I see things and I see gaps that leaders have that need to be closed. The last thing that I heard really in the part that you were saying is, love the work and love the people that you're leading. Because if you lead with love, then you will be empathetic when you need to be, you'll have the tough love when you need to have that, and all of those things that we know can help people be successful. So I love that you want to be known as a giver of love as a part of your space as a leader. I think that's phenomenal. And then your willingness to be uncomfortable and lead in uncomfortable situations does a lot. Helps people grow, it helps people stretch, but also it helps you have the courage to make the difficult decisions. Because when you're uncomfortable, you oftentimes will have to make some difficult decisions. And I think that's awesome that you shared those things with us. So, man, I love it. I love it. So, you are a young business professional. You're in a global capacity in a huge company. Many people, most of us across the world will consider that success. So I know you don't feel like you're successful yet, and that's part of being great. You're still on the journey, but let's just say for some people that do feel like you're a successful person, what would you say have been keys to success, or are keys to success for anyone?
The narrative inside your head can be false. And I think that, I grew up in a, single parent home. I grew up in a very particular socioeconomic status. I went to a public university, and a lot of the times what I was telling myself in my head, wasn't the right story. I needed to encourage myself. I needed to envision myself. I needed to build that vision board. I needed to build a mental pathway, the spiritual capacity to encourage myself to get to the place that I wanted to go. And that starts with me. And I really had to do the work and continue to do the work to, I think, beat my imposter syndrome or shift the narrative in my head. And I think it's really important for us to pause and understand what we're telling ourselves, because we're oftentimes our biggest blocker to the success that we want to achieve. And so I say a lot, I always point the finger at myself before I point the finger at anybody else when it comes to solving a problem or understanding a situation and understanding my success. I also take a deep look at what I'm doing to be my biggest obstacle in that respect. And I think make sure that you're kind to yourself as you think about the journey. One of the other leadership tools is that I've really come to understand and grow into at Facebook, which is you don't have to know everything, but you can find the people who do know and bring them into the work or consult with them in a way that makes you better or the team better or the work better. And that resourcefulness is actually a really important leadership trait, because again, nobody expects you to know everything, but being able to find the right people or someone with a different perspective is really important. The other thing that I would say is really grounding yourself in research or insights or data, that literacy of having a perspective that's not just intuitive, but from the market or from your client base or from your audience. Given I'm in marketing, that's really important to always ground yourself in the strategy or the work that you're building. And you can do that in unique ways or scrappy ways as well to inform yourself. But then we have a saying, data wins arguments. And so if you have those insights, then it's always, I think, a strong leg for you to stand on. And that's something I've had to build as well. And I still think it's still sponsoring people along the way. I think that's a really important leadership tool. Who are you representing in rooms where they're not? Whose voice are you ensuring that is at the table or in the conversation when maybe they're not? How do I use my privilege when I'm in those rooms and in those spaces to help call out some of the bias or that I see as well? And I think that's been a really important leadership trait for me. I really want to have a diverse team. I want to have diverse thought. I want to have diverse opinions and around me in my personal life and my professional life. And so that also requires me, again, to get uncomfortable, but also I think a leadership tool that's really important as you're helping to build a company, to build products, to think about building your own network as well. You're better in that sense.
Yeah. So, I share that opinion. Curious as to what your thoughts on as to why it's important to have diversity around you from a business standpoint. What does that help?
I think it helps. And I don't know if a lot of people know Adam Grant or even the chief operating officer at Facebook, Sheryl Sandberg. They've done a lot of research on this topic. I'm a big fan of Adam Grant. I'm sure you've read him, right? I mean, he even has gems on social media that I love as well and share with my team. But from a professional perspective, the diversity has an impact on team culture, team health, psychological safety within that as well, which allows for people to bring new ideas, new concepts, different ways of thinking forward to improve the business. And so it impacts the bottom line when you think about, people's enjoyment and fulfillment of their work, of getting to work on new things that are creative, on the money that the business makes at the end of the year. And I think, again, it goes back to that strengths conversation of not having to know it all, but to be able to have a really beautiful group of people with different strengths and ideas to bring something to life is really paramount. And in my personal life, I just find so much beauty and joy in those unique experiences and in understanding what makes people happy, whether that's food or, a different way of dancing or the music or whatever that is. It's something that you share and build as part of your relationship and have that bond with someone, I think. And so for me, it's just this rich fabric of life that I get to have. I mean, in Croatia, I'm here for a friend's wedding. And what's more beautiful than that, to be able to enjoy both of those things as well.
Excellent. I love it. Now, you know me, you've been knowing me for a long time. We've established that already.
Right.
So I don't ever want to get in a conversation with a friend or someone that I meet and not ask them what I can do, how I can be helpful to them. So there it is, Jennifer. What can I do for you? How can I help you?
That's something I've been working on. The hardest question, I think, I read a recent poll that said, what's the hardest thing for you to say? Is it, I'm sorry, I need help, or I love you? And I thought, oh, well, it's really, right? Like I need help. I read through the comments and everybody kind of said the same thing. And I thought, oh, that's something interesting to work on for people, because it's such a hard question sometimes. And
you used to not have a problem with that. You used to ask me for help quite often.
What everybody doesn't know is that last week I made you go on an early morning walk with me to catch up on what was going on in life. So I'm like, I kind of had the mentorship time, but I think, what could you help me on? I actually have something. So I've recently applied for a women's leadership accelerator. So I am in need of a couple of references. So I'm sure that is a place where you could help. And I would love that.
Consider it done. Just let me know what I need to do.
What can I do for you?
You're doing it now. You're helping to share your thoughts on leadership and expressions, on how people can advance, how people can pursue greatness. So you're doing it now. And also just keep doing what you're doing so I can continue to watch you grow and be proud.
I love that you're sharing your wisdom with the world. I think this is really exciting, and you've been so instrumental to my success and to my career. And I know that broadening your reach, others will have a bit more of an advantage in that too. So thank you for having me here. Thank you for sharing your wisdom with more people as well. And I think if anybody wants to connect on LinkedIn, please feel free to do so. That's where I manage my professional network, and I really do my best to help people either apply for jobs at the company or provide career advice on that platform. So happy to chat there too.
Wonderful. Well, in response to your thoughts on me sharing, your comment on me sharing, I feel responsible. God has exposed me to a lot of things and given me the ability to help people. And so I feel responsible that I need to and have to do that. So I'm doing this because I enjoy it. I love getting the opportunity to talk and catch up with people like you, but also see it as a responsibility to help other people learn from some of the things that I've been through and that you've been through and that others that we'll talk with have been through, because I am really, really in belief that success And being great is a journey, and there are a lot of things that can happen along the way, good and bad, that can help build us in that regard. But one of the most critical things is that we have to be in alignment with our purpose, because we have to be great on purpose. So I love that you're here talking with us. Anything you'd like to share in closing?
You touched on it, is that the mistakes are an invaluable part of the journey and they add to our growth. And so don't be afraid of those moments. Just make sure that you continue to learn from them and apply those learnings to what it is that you're doing next. I remember I said to you and David Costello once, I said, you guys sit in meetings and you have such great answers or responses. And I used to write them down and think, why don't I have that response? Like, when am I going to be smart enough for that? And I thought, I realized a couple of years ago, I think you and I had this conversation, I was like, oh, it kind of comes from the mistakes that you've had through the course of your career, and really learning in real time as you're doing the work. And so that's always an important part to remember as we do this work. I've got a lot to learn and a lot more to do and a lot more mistakes to make. I am sure of that.
Yeah, that's so true, Jen. And I'll tell you, we always talk about experience is the best teacher. You learn from experience. Really, you learn the most from the mistakes and how you overcome. What you do to rebound from the mistake is really where you learn and grow the most. You can learn from successes, but that's limited. The mistakes is really where you learn from. So, unfortunately, we have to deal with them, but the fortunate side of it is they help us grow. And that's what helps us to get to where we want to be. So we need them both.
Resiliency is a big tool for us to continue to hone and keep in our toolkit as we go through life in general, especially during this unique pandemic that we're all experiencing. That's right.
If you're committed to persevering and being a lifelong learner, you'll continue to grow.
Yes.
Yeah. So you keep doing it. You keep growing, and keep smiling, keep loving people, and give me a shout if there's anything I can ever do to help you continue on your journey. And I'll do that reference for you right now. Just send me whatever you need.
I sure will. Well, I mean, we've got 35 years ahead of us to go. So
at least
it's a long road.
At least. That's right. I plan on being here a while.
Well, great to see you, and have a wonderful Thursday.
All right. I'll do that. Enjoy the rest of your vacation, and I hope the wedding goes well. Take care.
Thank you. Bye.
Bye.
Thank you for tuning in to the Great on Purpose podcast. I am Alfonzo Alexander. Please be sure to follow me on Instagram, LinkedIn, and Facebook so that you can continue to hear stories and get information that can help inspire you to be great on purpose.